Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome from Brazil. You know what time it is. It's that time of the weekend. It's Super Sunday. We kick things off with the Formula Fords, the first of the double headers for Weekend Warriors. What a glorious track to take place. An encounter round 9 at the Autodrome Jose Carlos Pace. Of course, we more commonly known it as Interlagos. I'm Tim Cox. We've got Josh Wilkie, brand new comer to the channel, taking place in the virtual production trailer. Charles Bashal joins me as always. But before we get stuck into events and proceedings, qualifying just ongoing in the background right now, let's head across, just take a reminder of where we're at in the point standings so far this season. And starting off with Spec 1, well, Megan Overstreet leads the way. And also, she's with us tonight. Good. I didn't just clocked her, thank goodness, and looking to maintain and grow her ever-present gap at the top. Over 120 points over Jason Green in second. Kane Lasky, he remains in third, having taken part in 7 of the 8 rounds so far this season. That's what that column in the middle denotes there. Jesus Rodriguez fourth. There's Jeff Jacobson. Yal Tabino, previous race winner, is in 6th. They've got Simon Mayer, Josh Soto, John Carlos Gula, and Dominic Hamada in 10th. Across into Spec 2 now. And, well, it's been a bit more competitive here. And only 5 points separates our top 2. Tom Laurie leads the way with Philip Fernandez in 2nd. Michael Nelson, he's in 3rd. A bit of a drift now, but does have a healthy gap over Joshua Flores, who's currently in 4th. Trenton Kramer 5th, then Sander Barouge. What a great driver. He's really improving as the season's gone on. Well off the pace when his first race and climbing through the point standings. Chris Montgomery 7th, there's Benjamin Harris, Josh Justice, and Richard Coffey ran out the top 10 there. Across into Masters now. And wow, the drivers that have come of age are senior citizens by name, but well, they invoke the quickness to take the fight to the whippersnappers in this league. And it's Antonio Reyes, he leads the way. And he's on a really strong winning streak right now. Having won the previous 5 rounds, Phillip Island, Okayama, Alton Park, Mid-Ohio, and Summit Point 1 week ago. Jim Brewster, he's still in with a shout, though, despite Antonio Reyes' winning ways. He's in 2nd, Stevie Ray in 3rd, then Jorg Marni to fall behind a little bit in 4th, Andegas is 5th, then it's Love, Walbolt, Rek, Murakami, Nelson, Toms, Trespadidi, and Bradshaw to complete the Masters table. But qualifying just a roundabout finish, and well, it's the usual names back at the top, isn't it, Charles?
Yeah, Tim, it really is, and it's good to be back for another round of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. Yeah, I love seeing the Masters guys up on top of the board. Obviously, being the fact that I'm about a year away from becoming one myself. So, Antonio Race, Jorg Monty are quick everywhere, but it's just looks like they've added a couple of extra gears there, and are leading the top of the qualifying.
Well, just drivers you're seeing there, Ray Oliver, a shout out to him. And also we'll see Tom Gradwell later on, Brad Cathcart, all Australians who get up at the crack of dawn just to go sim racing on a Monday morning. That's dedication for you. But let's take you through the grid for round 9 of the season here from Interlagos in Brazil. And it's Antonio Race on pole with his fellow foe from Masters, Yogmani. Row 2, that's locked up by Jason Green and Chris Murakami with an all-spec 1 row. Row 3, it's Megan Overstreet with Jeff Jacobson. McConnell, you top qualifier in Spec 2, starts 7th alongside Andrew Love, Tom Laurie, and then Ray Oliver on his debut in the championship, rounding out the top 10. Jim Brewster and Andy Gassis make up another all Masters row in row 6. Then we've got Chris Montgomery and Benjamin Harris, Steno and Walbolt, Stevens and Bradshaw, and Christensen, the Dane, who were just waiting to take to the grid. Didn't set a time in qualifying of, precision driving analytics given by their full fat name. So 30 years experience in motorsport, having raced open wheel cars for almost 20 years at that time. He's found a new passion in helping others go faster and perfect their craft. He's also fulfilled in the past the role of data and race engineer as well as a driver coach, helping drivers get the most out of data and video systems. Now, Ray was a data engineer and a driver coach for a 2019 championship-winning Ferrari Challenge team, assisting multiple drivers. Now, PDA also sells a wide range of data and video equipment that can help everyone from a high-performance driver education driver to a professional driver or even a race team with multiple cars and drivers. And no matter what you choose, straight, and we'll take in our second sponsor a little bit later on. You see the safety car just about to pull in there. Antonio Race controlling the pace right now. As let's get ready to go racing in round 9 as we are green and we are away, and Race does not hang around whatsoever, leaving Marnie completely standing in second, but they're queuing up behind. We're going to see the perennial Interlagos turn 1 collision. No, we're not. They're all zipping in together. Well, I see almost a bit of contact there. Tom Laurie getting his elbows out. It's Alan DeGassis, in fact, alongside him. But already, Charles, 6/10 the advantage Race has over Marnie. Drops that little pan that they've got going on there, but Overstreet having finished on the podium in every single round so far this season. Hence why she's leading the Spec 1 Championship. Got a work cut out because Murakami not quite keeping pace with this opening stages of the race as they swoon down towards Young Cow. Come round what is ultimately the final corners. Murakami runs a bit wide there. This is going to be Overstreet's chance to pounce and get the move done. Well, she's already got it done as Murakami tucks in once again. Now it's pedal to the metal for the young American. She hunts down Green, Marnie and Race up ahead of them as Yogmani just sizing at Race as Race knows that full well, dives down to the inside, tries to cover it off, says to Marnie, no, you're not taking the lead coming on to lap 2. And tucked back in, but onto the racing line to hold that lead. But for now, and I think that's probably the most crucial part of that sentence, isn't it, Charles?
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Just see now, Tim Stano's dropped a few places. Although, no, he's just made one back up. He had a bit of an instant dance turn 1. That's it. That's no biggie. He's only dropped down 2 as, we've got a replay. So I get the feeling we're going to find out exactly how this all unfolded, Charles. Lo and behold, we're heading down to turn 1.
Yeah, we are heading down to turn 1. I'm sorry, Tim. I've lost Cam, so give
that's
me
okay.
Just a second to get it.
Oh, wow. It was a half spin in front of him, and quite catch who that was in front of it. I think it was Gary Walbolt. Well, this is the trouble with these cars, isn't it? Once you're offline, you're a sitting duck. There's no easy way to correct them. They're the polar opposite of a Formula 1 car, where you can adjust your line when you're way off. You've got lots of downforce, and Stano there, unfortunately, a complete passenger and into the side of Walbot. Now the drivers do have one fast repair to their name as just seeing that. Murakami back ahead of Home Street. I'm guessing that was down the Reta Reposta down to Desida del Lago. But if these two are sensible, they'll keep swapping places and slipstream one another, because already 2 seconds, Green and Co have managed to pull out over these two. Look at that 3 wide in the background there. They're almost going to make it 4 wide. Heading down the start-finish straight. Here we go. Can we make it 4? Everyone tucks in. They're going to give it a go here into turn 1. But they still remain 3 wide. They dip back down to 2 by 2 by 2. And somehow they all get away with it, Charles. So we head through. Now they're still all having a good old go at one another. Down the Desida del Lago. So down the Reta Reposta, apologies. And almost contact. It looks so close. Tom Lorry well in the mix there. Jacobson, he's dropped 2 places. But I'll tell you what, on his debut, Ray Oliver, the Aussie, up into 6th, but 4 places. Your highest position climber. He's on an absolute flyer so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Oliver's having a good race. Has moved up several spots already. Looking for some more, it looks like. Got a little bit of a gap to make up to get up to Murakami. About a 1.5 seconds of time to make up.
Just looking back from Oliver. It's McConnell directly behind us. Then it's Jacobson, Laurie, Brewster, Love, Montgomery, Harris involved too, Degassis as well. Train from 6th all the way down to 14th. So we come out of Young Cow. You see, well, you spoke about it. You can really see it visually there, the gap that Overstreet and Murakami have opened up over this. What is technically the best of the rest almost, isn't it, right now?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you got the top 3 that are up there. Oh, Monty just looks like he's made a...
He has. So Antonio Race has dropped 2 places there. And that's a tuck in behind once again. I say once again, for the first time in this race, is Tom Lorry just making his way past Brewster there, getting the job done. And that's him now up into 10th place. I say, actually, no, apologies, dropping places even. I mean, lost out a little bit. They're all shuffling around. It's Brewster back ahead of Lorry, but see Jason Green still the meat in this sandwich right now. Marnie and Race. 2 Masters drivers, 2 stalwarts of the Weekend Warriors series. What are they going to be able to do at this stage of the race? 6 minutes complete out of the 40 minutes. We will be having a pit stop. As we've seen in recent times, the undercut just really hasn't worked out for any of our drivers who've managed to achieve it. It's all been about how long that you can go in this race. And that tends to be who comes out in top. But you're still going to have strong race pace as well. Just to give you an idea of track temperatures today, 28 degrees Celsius. And is in freedom units, roughly, there we go, 74. No, sorry, 82, apologies. 74 ambient. That's 23 Celsius ambient. There you go. So definitely not cold, but definitely on the cooler side of things here. As these lots still going at it. You think this was for the lead right now. Laurie just ahead of Andrew Love. Of course, Love has won previously this season in the Masters, having run all the way back at Road Atlanta. That was a bit of a crazy race in round 3, but worth going back and watching. He thought about it, just got out the throttle, tucked back in once again. Jim Brewster, like a bit of a bottle in the cork in the neck of the bottle right now. And so it's allowed Oliver, McConnell and Jackson, who these guys were right up on top of in the early stages. As Laurie almost into the back of Brewster there. That's how hard he's pushing. Trying to give Brewster the absolute hurry up. Of course, Brewster, Mr. Consistency, second in the Masters Championship. Looking to try and bank some points to carry that going, but, well, the Tenny race well ahead of him, all the way up in 3rd, and points are distributed depending on your overall finish rather than your position in class. That is quite a bit of a difference in these latter stages of the season. And well, things have just maybe slightly calmed down. Whenever I say this, it tends to kick off once again. I'll let these, maybe we'll squeeze it in quicker. Mention to our other sponsor for this series, Arrive Drive Motorsports. Welcome to your ultimate racing experience. Arrive Drive Motorsports is a full-service road racing prep shop. They specialise in Formula and sports racers. They're now offering full Arrive and Drive services in F1600, F2000, F1000, S5000, and also your own car. Now, are you ready to take your driver development to the next level? Now, with everything from F1600 to V8 open wheel monsters, Arrive Drive will maximize your potential and accelerate your development with up to 100 races per year in up to 6 different race cars.
Still got the top 3 up there. Monty in the lead. Green, who is second in the Spec 1 category, running second in the race. 2 spots ahead of Overstreet. And then Reyes, who is, I think, if I remember correctly, leading in the Masters class.
Not quite, no. Barney's obviously ahead of him, isn't he now? So,
well, in the race, yes. In the race, yes, but in the championship stage.
Oh yes, apologies, Charles. Yeah, sorry, I'll shut up.
But yeah, that's okay. But Brewster's having a good race. He's in P9, so he's having a good run. Trying to keep that close. Because we've seen, obviously, as I came back in, I heard you talking about the Road Atlanta race, where at one point in time we had 6 Masters drivers leading the race, and then we had a 6-way crash coming through the back stretch chicane at the end of the lap. So so anything can still happen. We've still got a little 29 minutes or so left in the race.
Nice to see Benjamin Harris giving a bit of pressure now from Tom Lorry there. No apologies, it's Harris applying pressure to Montgomery as Love has a bit of a look up the inside there on Brewster. That forces Brewster to run wide. Employing the mind games right now is that 945. And is he going to have a look up the inside here? Has a dart to the inside. They're all queuing up on Brewster right now, who hangs it right around the outside. Now, if he can keep his nose in, I don't think he's going to be able to. Or is he? He'll have the inside through the twisty bits here. And is he going to be able to do it? No, he can't quite get his car in underneath soon enough. But he still remains side by side with Andrew Love as they almost touch wheels there. And finally, Brewster has to tuck in behind Love. Oh, well, I mean, considering they were right up with that group in front of them, McConnell, Ray, Oliver, and Jacobson, 4.7 seconds. It just shows how much time you lose from battling, doesn't it, in these cars?
Yeah, it really does.
Once again, Brewster wanting that place back from Love. Has a look the inside into turn 1 through the center S's. He's going to get it done. Right now, Montgomery, Harris, and Laurie, all passengers having to witness this battle at the front in this gaggle of cars right now.
Yeah, Brewster got a really good run through that section of track right there, going back down to the Rada Aposta. A little touch.
A touch again. It sends Laurie off into the grass. They get away with it where they just bang wheels. Laurie loses 4 places. Love loses 4 places and nearly makes contact with Laurie, who then loses a heap of time, but he'll make that back quickly. I mean, it's a second and a half actually made that 1.7 seconds. He's fallen back. Alan DeGassis just behind him now, but the way they're all battling in front, he'll be back up on them in, well, half a lap's time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, the longer they keep battling like that, just makes that train bigger and bigger as cars behind have a chance to make up that gap. But it's great racing from what we saw just a few minutes ago with Brewster in this group through Ferradura and Pine Tree and then into Duckbill. Just amazingly good racing side by side. It's fun to watch. Obviously, like we said, it loses them time to the cars in front, but it's still, they're still having fun out there and racing hard.
And heading down to turn 1 up the front. Jason Green starting to apply the pressure onto Marnie. Not anything untoward at this stage, but Marnie definitely feeling a threat from Green. So just move to the inside there, just covering off that inside line, preventing Green from getting through. Now, Overstreet, she's fallen back to about 3 seconds. Well, yeah, she's made up a little bit on the last lap, a couple of attempts. 3.2 seconds is the gap to these guys in front of her. However, what she will be praying for right now is for them all to start battling, because as we've seen from that epic battle down in the midfield, that gap will diminish in a split second. But really interesting, I'm just sat here watching the gap ebb and flow between 3 seconds and 3.2 seconds between Overstreet and these three. It's fascinating to see where she's a lot quicker than what they are. This is where they seem to be a lot quicker than what she is.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously she's running in clean air. The guys that are in front are kind of packed together, so you're basically running at the pace of the car in front of you. So it helps on the straightaways, but obviously once you get into the corners, you're having to navigate just a little differently, and it's giving them a chance to make up the time, or potentially anyways. 3 second gap. And I don't think I've seen anybody, of course I missed it a little bit, but I don't think I've seen anybody taking the pit stop yet, which is kind of odd. So normally at the 15-minute mark, we've at least had one taker to come in on that undercut to see if they can make that work.
You're absolutely spot on. When you said that, I was thinking, no, I don't think I've seen anyone either. I've just had a look across. No, nobody's had his pit road so far, Charles. But that big wiggle there out of Young Cow that Overstreet had has cost her dearly, and under a lot of the hard work and the hard yards that she'd put into trying to eat up some of that gap to the group in front of her. Still remains at about 3.4 seconds, but that will close back down again and come the end of the lap, where they're definitely holding up each other for that infield section. But this battle will not go away. And I said about Andrew Love, not to worry, he'd be back up onto the back of them in no time whatsoever. Well, it hasn't taken him long at all, although Tom Laurie has fallen by the wayside out of this group. So look back from Harris, he's now only 2 tenths his Love behind them.
Yeah, it's a really tight battle here. Oh, and you see he's braking a little bit earlier than the car behind. Love broke a little bit later, then had to really kind of stamp on the brakes a little bit to keep from getting into the backside. But yeah, these cars are still just battling, here and there.
Now, my favourite, Charles, out of this group is Benjamin Harris. Now, I know you're going to ask me why, and that's because he's got an Apex Racing TV logo on his livery.
There you go.
Instantly default, just elevates you above anyone else.
Absolutely. We love to see the logos on the cars for sure.
But we're on to lap 10 already. Marnie leads from Green. Well, I say that Green once again and raced nearly into the back of Green, just underestimating the closing speed that he had on the American. 3 nationalities on the podium. Is it going to remain that way? Come the end of the race in 12 and a quarter minutes time. They're still all going to be on the track. Is it going to end in tears for one of them? Let's hope not, because after the round of pit stops, the gloves are thoroughly going to come off. But what is encouraging here, in terms for us as the neutral, Charles, is they've all roughly, as Marnie's sort of taken the lead in this group, between him and Race, they've sort of all led equal amounts of time, except for Jason Green. He's the only one, I think, and then they're all neutralized, and it's great for us as the neutral come the round of pit stops, because then it's game on. They all stop at the same time.
Absolutely. I think we've talked to Monty enough that he basically doesn't matter if he's in first or fifth. He doesn't really fuel save unless he's forced to, right? He's full chat all the time. So we know he's going to be, if he stays out here in the front, he'll be probably the first car that'll have to dip in. But yeah, if Green and Reyes can just kind of hang back here, then they'll make it stretch for an extra lap or two.
Won't be too far away from finding out, as approaching half a race distance right now. Now, I remember early in the seasons when the SRFs were here, it went right down to the wire in terms of the clock, and they crossed the line just before the clock ran out. But that was where Marco Panera was really slowing it up on the last lap, and iRacing sort of got a bit of a confusion and decided, well, actually, I think we're going to cross the line in time, but he didn't. And I think it saved quite a few of the drivers' bacon, because then they didn't have to take, they were safe on fuel, but equally, those that had estimated and gambled on that extra lap could have gained big that day, but didn't. You spoke about people coming into the pits. Andrew Love, the first person to blink, he's into the pits. He's going to come out in fresh air, and that might help him where he's been stuck in that midfield battle for so long.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think that's is a good strategy call on his part. He can get out and just run his pace and maximize it for what he can get out of it instead of being in that mid-pack battle. So we'll see what happens. It's we always talk about the as we look now, he had a pit stop time of 20 seconds, which seems like it's pretty high for what we're used to seeing as far as fuel, but maybe it's the altitude of the track. Maybe these cars have to burn a little more fuel here. So I don't know, but we'll see as others start coming in.
Just spotted to come through with relative ease to take the lead. And if Marnie now could save enough, I think this is fully game on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was probably I don't know if he's listening to us or not. Definitely a smart strategy call. Let one of these other cars get out. I think, like I said, Reyes led the first couple of laps, so now it's Green's turn to be out front and poke holes in the air for the cars behind. Let them save a little bit of fuel, and so when these guys come in, it would not surprise me to see them come in nose to tail for their pit stop.
That's Gary Walbolt into the pits as well. That's going to be interesting to see where Andrew Love comes out into relation to Walbolt. Those two had been battling in the early stages of the race. So far, retirements. Tim Stainer, we lost him on lap 5, currently on lap 13. And Christensen, the Dane, unfortunately did not make the start. Still ever so close between these top three. And they have picked up the pace a little. Overstreet is not closing in on them any longer. Just here in the background there, Murakami remaining in tow. For me, he's the potentially the ace, the joker in the pack. The ace, just tucked up your sleeve there, Charles, because he stayed on the coattails of Overstreet for the entirety of this race. And I'm not sure if he's been close enough to maybe fuel save this one. But if he has, and if he's managed to do enough, I think he could be the one to watch potentially.
Maybe, yeah. He's in that 7/10 of a second to 1 second back. Been kind of sitting there the entire time. That is kind of on the edge of the. She's got a bit of pace in the car every time she gets on the track.
The only trouble is though, the way it's looking right now, Charles, is for the first time this season she will not be finishing on the podium. That's a big story to come out of here in terms of consistency, and could she make it through the entirety of the seasons with 4 rounds left, including tonight. But still plenty of opportunity. Still only just over half race distance, aren't we? And a lot can happen, a lot can change. We've seen it time and time again, whether it be the Formula Fords, the Vs, or the SRFs here at Weekend Warriors. It can all turn on the blink of an eye. As Bradshaw just come out of the pits, he's dipped in. So Love got the jump on Walbot during their little pit stop phase. So that was a good result there for Andrew. I mean, we've got 15 and a half minutes left. That's very early, and he could have just sat and fuel safe for longer and longer and longer. I mean, maybe he's seen some space that he can come out into and maybe utilize his raw pace. Chris Montgomery, apologies, into the pits. Just seeing Jim Brewster there having to defend from Harris right now. Bit loose from Brewster, collects it all up. Bit of a Code Brown moment from Harris after seeing Brewster getting squirrely and almost binning it.
14 and a half second stop compared to about 20 and a half for the rest of the field, other than Walbolt, who, like I said, took an extra lap worth of fuel, it appears. But yeah, Race came out in a good spot. He came out at the back of that pack that we were watching, that midfield pack. And he had about a second and a half of a gap to the car in front, so he could kind of come out and kind of run his pace, and then he should be able to get a pretty decent tow from those midfield cars as he's working his way back up through the field.
Just having a look at lap times, and the Overstreet's fallen a bit further behind that, and Jacobson, Oliver, still on this charge in his debut in the championship. 4 spots at the moment, will lose certainly 1 to race after the round of pit stops, but still makes him up 3 places, which is in an incredibly good stead, and I think will make him the highest position climber. Pit stops accounted for. Currently, though, it's Paul Stevens who's at 5 spots, 4 in class, currently in 12. Who has that?
Pulled right up behind her and just kind of sat there, really didn't make any kind of moves, you know. And he's content to just be there in P4 for the time being until we run the fuel out, which should be a good catch by Overstreet. So I'm thinking that, you know, either this lap, maybe, and then next lap. I think that's it. I think everybody's got to be in by then. We're at the almost a 29-minute mark. I think 31 minutes, we've always used that as kind of a benchmark of that's about how far they can go during any particular race.
I'm going to throw this one out here, Charles, and see what you think. Do you think that Overstreet has potentially cooked her tyres a bit too much from where she's been pushing so hard to catch up with what was Green, Marnie, and Race?
It definitely is possible. That's a good call. I think I heard 15 degrees or so in Fahrenheit, and so this is actually kind of cool, overcast. So that should make the tires last a bit longer. Now, obviously, you know, the way she's driving it's going to have a lot to do with it, as we see both her and Monty are in the pits now.
Time to tell who is going to do what in terms of strategy. Everyone's starting to show their cards at this closing stages of the race. Well, now in fact, 1/4 race distance, 25% left to go. There is Antonio Race. Now this is crucial, isn't it? Because Jorgmani down pit exit. Is he going to come out in front? Well, yes, he is. By a country mile. In fact, Antonio Race is going to come out potentially behind Overstreet. As we look, there we go in the background, exiting the center S's. Is the Portuguese driver. Well, yet again, the early stop not working whatsoever here in the Formula 4 Weekend Warriors.
No, I think we can safely say the overcut is the way to go at this point, right? So obviously Overstreet came out before this race is over with, which we've seen before, obviously, right? We have seen cars run out of fuel in the last lap. And this is not a place that you want to do that. If you run out anywhere beyond the corner coming on the front straight, you're not making it back to the start finish line, because you got to climb the hill at Juncal to get back here. And I just don't think you can carry that type of. I don't think you're going to be able to coast that far.
There we go. There's Green on pit exit. Marnie is close. Who's going to get the jump? Oh, well, that's going to be Jason Green out quite comfortably in the end. That extra lap, the telling tale. And in fact, that extra, well, so the 2 seconds less that Green was in pit road for stationary is what's defined this completely and utterly. And I had doubts about Overstreet finishing on the podium overall in the end. She's going to achieve it. Yeah, again, bit of luck has come her way, and Murakami, the driver who I thought was the one to watch, well, all the way down, Charles, all the way down in fifth, back, well, where he came in fact. But Jason Green has taken on board the least amount of fuel anyone. At 13 seconds, he was stationary for, Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 15.7 for Marnie, 15 for Overstreet, race 20, 16 seconds for Murakami. So, I think Antonio Race has overfueled this potentially. But if this goes one more lap, well, A, has Jason Green got enough to get home anyway? And if it goes one more lap, this is Green's race gone done, dusted. You can forget about it.
Yeah, I think we're going to know in about 7 minutes' time who made the right fuel call. But yeah, you're exactly right.
It's Chris Montgomery. Well, I was about to say in front of us, we pulled to drivers right of Montgomery and Brewster. Going for the last spot inside the top 10, and he's going to achieve it. Swoops down to claim 10th and snatches it away from Montgomery. And wow, pushes Montgomery further away from Harris, who's currently second in Spec 2 right now. Only just in front of them. Meanwhile, talking of battles are plenty. Looking back from McConnell on his gearbox. Jeff Jacobson behind us, and look who's behind him. It's Ray Oliver, the debutant. Still in with a shout here. Well, beating off some fierce competition.
Yeah, he's obviously having a really good run for his first time out. Because these are some really good drivers out here. So you come in and get a score top 10 in your first time.
Like I said, they probably would have hoped for. That is for sure. This is your closest battle out on track right now. McConnell 6th, Jacobson 7th, Oliver 8th. As we head inside, 4 minutes to go, 4.5 in fact here in Brazil. McConnell, top of Spec 2, won't want anything to claim that class victory. It's coming his way. Certainly attacks and probes from Jacobson and Oliver behind him are going for last podium position in Spec 1, in fact. Well, what a debut for Ray Oliver that would be. That's for sure. As Harris is off the road. I just caught him. I saw him tumble down the timing sheets. I saw a car off on the track, nestling up against the wall in the center S's, and I think that could be him. He's gone up and going again.
Get a replay coming.
I think this is going to tell us exactly how he did it. Oh, and he's all by himself. That's so frustrating when that happens. Cooks it too much? Yeah.
Yep, I think so. I think that's exactly what that was. Just carried a little bit too much speed into turn 1. Probably a little bit late, missed the apex, and then tried to correct it with steering, and then around he went. I will say this: I was looking real quick, Tim. Reyes is about a half a second lap faster than Overstreet. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but that gap is tightening up. So Overstreet's going to have to get on the ball. Or she may not make that podium today as well. So she's going to have to. She's still got a little bit of work left to do for this race.
Well, if we have a bit of sit rep at the moment, we know Antonio Race is good for fuel.
Yes.
No questions asked.
For sure.
Marnie and Overstreet, we think are okay. Might be erring on the side of the caution. It's Jason Green is the issue for me, because that gap's closing between him and Marnie. And I think he's having to fuel save a lot. Well, I don't think there's anything. I'm pretty sure he is. I think it's going to be squeaky bum time for him in terms of how much longer this race has got left to go versus what that fuel gauge is reading for him. What we on? So when they've got 17 seconds to make it across the line for it to force another lap.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is going to be white flag.
It's going to be close either way, isn't it? Because we're seeing where Antonio races right now. I think it's going to be white flag. Well, there's Green making his way past Bradshaw. Yes, it definitely is going to be, because we're 1 minute and 30 seconds. I think he'll make it across the line roughly at. So there we go. White flag is going to be in the air. 1 lap left remaining here from round 1 of the Formula 4 Weekend Warriors. There he is, Barney, fiercely waving the flag as he always does. Bradshaw moves out of the way of the advancing Jorg Marnie. I think it's going to be too little too late as Overstreet. Ooh, that's a wide entry, that. I've not seen anyone take it that wide.
This track, this track to me is probably one of the most technical tracks in iRacing. It's just you have to really practice this track to be good at it. I'm not. This is probably one of my worst tracks, especially one of the worst ones I have that don't have walls next to it, like say Bathurst. This track just confounds me every time I race it.
It's this infill section, isn't it? It's so tricky. But talking of tricky, 2 tenths, no, 1.5 covering these three right now, and Oliver is going to take charge of it, not only of this group, but a last podium place in Spec 1. McConnell just behind him, your leader in Spec 2, fiercely, bravely trying to defend from Jacobson, who's just, is he going to make his way through? No. McConnell still having that inside line, but if Jacobson can hold it there, he'll have the inside line now. But McConnell is not giving this one up. He's like a dog with a bone in the end, runs in too deep. He has to yield, but that's going to allow Oliver to counter away. Meanwhile, up front, we questioned if he had enough fuel. It turns out he timed it to perfection, and everyone else had too much. Jason Green takes victory here at Interlagos in round 9. For the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, Marnie second. Overstreet is going to pick up third. To continue, have Rich Vane finishing on the podium overall, but also third in class, so second in class for her. Antonia Race, second in Masters. Murakami, third in Masters. Oliver on his debut, 6th overall, up 4 places, but more crucially, third in Spec 1. What a debut for the Aussie. Beating off Jeff Jacobson in the end by 4 attempts. McConnell wins Spec 2 comfortably. He finishes in 8th. With just waiting for him to come across the line, but Harris is going to take, he's passing Degassis in fact on the line. Harris second, and Montgomery in the end just couldn't quite catching up quickly enough. Claims that last podium spot in Spec 2. Wow, that was definitely a bit of a flurry of a finish, and it turns out, like I said, everyone just had too much through. I should never have doubted Jason Green.
Absolutely, yeah. He got it just right, and was able to save a little bit in the closing few laps, and it still had a very comfortable win, 2.2 seconds.
I'll just look at my notes. It is the 6th time that Overstreet's finished in class and continues to, that's 3 seconds on a bounce. It would have been 6 if Yaltabino hadn't disrupted that by coming 6th, so second at Alton Park in round 6, in which Overstreet won that round. But I think driver of the day's got to go to Ray Oliver, third on his debut. Astounding stuff from him. There he is, the man of the moment. Just waiting for everyone to come across the line, and we'll be able to bring up some classified results here from round 9 in Interlagos in Brazil. Of course, coming up later on the channel, let's get it in. We've got the Formula 4, so the Ford Spec Races either. Second part of Super Sunday here on Apex Racing TV. Be from Hockenheim in Germany for that one. But here are your results. Jason Green with the victory. Marnie second, Overstreet third. Then it's Race 4th overall, but second in class. Murakami rounding out that Masters podium. Ray Oliver 6th and 3rd in Spec 1. And Jacobson, McConnell 8th, and your winner in Spec 2 with Brewster and Love rounding out your top 10. Harris, he finished second in Spec 2 with Degassis 12th, and Chris Montgomery in the end claiming 3rd in Spec 2 and 13th overall. Then it's Tom Murray, Gary Walbolt, Paul Stevens on his debut comes home 16th, and Bradshaw 1 lap down. Tim Staino, your only true retirement, he retired back on lap 5, completed 23 laps here, and Christensen did not make the start. Let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers. First off, let's have a little chat to our victor here today, Jason Green. Congratulations. Jason, we looked at how long you've been stationary for. We thought, compared to everyone else, you have not got on this, were you? When obviously getting to the last stages, 3 to go, 2 to go, that sort of period. Of wondering, is this, am I going to have slowed the pace up enough here? Is this going to force another lap? Or were you already in certainty that you got the lap count about right?
That's actually a good question. I wasn't thinking about that. I noticed it was way closer than it should have been. When I was testing it, it was on a higher track temp, so slower lap times. So we were going a lot quicker than expected. But yeah, I didn't think it would be close. And after a couple laps of saving fuel a little bit, I was good on the number. So,
well, either way, it works out to you for absolute perfection. Congratulations, and good luck for later on the SRFs. Jason Green, your race winner here today.
So it seems to be quite decent, but not good. And yeah, and I had a little problem with my wheel. My magnet came off from the shifter, actually from the pedal shifter, and it got stuck every single lap. So I had to push it back upwards all the time when I wanted to upshift, and I got stuck into the same gear for about 5, 6, 7 laps, I think. So
Wow.
well, you finish it.
Yeah, well, considering all that, yeah, that's a pretty spectacular race for you then.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. But yeah, it was. At least I finished the race for once. Let's see the next one in the Spec Ford.
All right, we'll let you get ready for the Spec Racer Ford race. Congratulations, Jordan.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, and good evening.
All right.
Next up, we've got a driver continuing on her rich vein of form of podium finishes. Megan Overstreet joins us. Every round this season, you've managed it. I mean, it's an astounding result. However, the first half of the race, we were left questioning in commentary, and how dare we, whether you were going to be able to pull this one off, because it seemed like you were pushing hard. But did you overcook your tyres in that first stage of the race? Because that's what it seemed like. You sort of reached that threshold and seemed to almost start to come a little bit slower.
Yeah, I pushed too hard and I got my tires too hot. On lap 2, though, we lost the lead draft when Chris got sideways coming out of Juncal. So I had let out the gas. By the time I got around him, we were about 2 seconds behind the lead pack, and I just could not catch up from there.
But a bit of crafty strategy, as always, from yourself. And I mean, but equally, were you surprised come the round of pit stops to emerge out in third?
Yeah, I was. I was not expecting Antonio to be that far back, but I guess he had to take more fuel or something. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, so you were stationary in contrast for I think about 14, 15 seconds, and he was stationary for 20. So that's what killed things off for him. Whereas Jason did it on about 13 and a half seconds stationary time. So he obviously went at one less click on fuel compared to yourself. But I mean, I suppose the question has to be, with 3 rounds left of the season, can you close out the season with podium finishes throughout?
That's my plan. I'm hoping to at least get one more win, or try for it at least.
Well, I mean, we have got Belle Isle to come in there, a street circuit, so that's always a bit of a lottery, isn't it, with street circuits? So punishing, but Brands Hatch next week, so on the Grand Prix circuit. So good luck for you on that one, and good luck for you later on the SRFs.
Thank you.
Megan Overstreet, who picked up yet another podium finish here today at Brazil. Well, that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for joining us for part 1 of the doubleheader here on Super Sunday on the Apex Racing TV. In about 40 minutes' time, we'll head to Hockenheim in Germany for the SRFs. But from myself, Tim Cox, Charles Michelle, and Josh Wilkie in the virtual production trailer, thanks very much for joining us, and good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.